First time I've been outside since I drove in this morning. So it feels it.
Nick, after watching the tape of the game, what stuck out to you after watching it?
Yeah, you know what? It was sometimes you say what you say in a post-game press conference, and then you come back and it's something different. But it was pretty much similar to what I said. It was a crisp first half. Like the ones and twos in that first half, they were crisp, and it was a sloppy second half. I look forward to being able to correct all the mistakes with the guys today in film session and get better from it.
How did Sua at the guard spot? Look like you got a lot of reps.
Yeah.
How's he coming along at that spot?
Just like any game, you have some good plays and you have some bad plays that you want back. I definitely think Sua had more good than bad, and he's got some just natural power to be able to move guys. So, and we saw that in the game on Thursday.
When you were negotiating the practice schedule for the joint practices with Belichick, what was that like? What were those conversations like?
Yeah, it just like a normal conversation with how we get ready for a practice with our staff. Just because, I think people would be shocked about how much detail goes into planning each and every practice. And so, and you talk about each and every practice, but then you have to set the stage right at the beginning of like, hey, here's how we practice. Like, so it's like you start from the beginning. You just have to talk about every detail, and so it was just like normal talking to other guys, and we're still having ongoing conversations to get ready for practice on Tuesday.
Do you have a home field advantage in those negotiations because you're here?
I just think you just want your team to work and get better from the scenario, and you want his team to be able to work and get better from it, so you can continue to build a relationship and work with each other. So it's I wouldn't say home field advantage, you just work so you're both getting what you want.
You said everything was crisp in the first half. With Jalen specifically, any different takeaways after watching the film versus before?
Gosh, I thought he played better than I even thought when I got into the room on Thursday night. I just thought he was in complete command of the offense. Again, we're talking about 10 plays, right? But you're still evaluating those like it's 60. So great command of the offense, great checks, great, perfect ball to Dallas on that check that he made that allowed, when you put the ball where he put that ball, that's where you get yards after catch, and Dallas was strong with the run. But yeah, I was really pleased with the way he played. There's one or two that I'm like, I wanted you to step up and rip it back to the backside, but that's what we're learning from that.
What would you have done differently on the long pass to Quez that didn't quite connect?
Was
that pressure, or was that?
No, I just think there's just that timing factor too. Like the DB did a good job of posting his hand on Quez as he was going vertical. So you kind of saw the DB post his hand. Quez was a little late to get the hand off, and it slowed him down just a tick. And this is a timing game and precision. It's just getting the rep over and over again with Quez. Like, what am I going to do when he gets a little bump, and what am I going to do in this? So, I thought it was a ball that it would have been right on if Quez didn't get bumped.
Sharing the field with Belichick for 2 days as a head coach, what kind of thoughts does that evoke for you? What kind of influence maybe has he been?
Well, I think I've mentioned before that I really enjoy watching documentaries on great teams, great coaches, great players. Well, shoot, this is the best in the business ever to coach. I mean, this is the best NFL coach ever, and so really look forward to learning from him. And just like we watch tape of guys, like just like we throw on the tape and say, hey, look how you watch this, how to run this route, look how to read this play of players in the NFL. I'll do the same thing here with Coach Belichick.
Did you know him before?
I didn't, no, so look forward to getting to know him.
Do you have any sense for Devonta right now, how he's coming on his rehab and his chances on Thursday?
Yeah, right now he's day-to-day. I don't want to put a timetable as far as if he'd be ready for Thursday. I don't know yet. So he's working hard and working hard to get back, and our trainers and our strength staff is doing a great job of bringing him back, and so he's day-to-day, and look forward to seeing him out there in practice soon.
A lot of first-year coaches don't like doing joint practices because they're just trying to put their thing in the first year. To do 2 of them, what do you see the value as to do 2 different sets of them?
Yeah, I just think the monotony of camp sometimes you get to go against other people and just work your game versus other people, and it's game like, right? And so, but it's in a controlled setting. You can't get enough of those game-like situations because, you may have something scripted for practice, and this is just like a game goes. You have something scripted, you'll go through it, and then something pops up, and you got to adjust to it. Like, the more we can put ourselves in that scenario as coaches and players, the better.
What's been your messaging to Jalen in terms of protecting himself and knowing when to slide, when not to, when to throw the ball away, when not to?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, exactly that. Know when to protect yourself and know when to extend plays. One of his greatest abilities that he has, though, is to extend plays. But there's also a time when you got to know, hey, this play's done. Play the next play. Save yourself a hit. So it really is. It's play, Jeff. It's play by play, and it's like, did I think you should extend this one? No. Did I think you did a good job extending this one? Yeah. And just trying to teach it just like you teach any other thing.
Should you ever try and take on a tackler, or should you always slide?
Again, that's sometimes like when you slide. I see. There's times where you're like, there's times when if you slide, you put yourself at risk too because the guys are coming in as well. And so there's times where a dive is better than a slide. And so we always want to limit his hits. We always want to limit any quarterback's hits. Like I think I've told you guys this before. Like, my favorite stat to look at when you're good at this stat is sacks, and that's one of the most important. Like how are we protecting our quarterback? Because that's a huge thing to protect the quarterback and take the hits off of him, and it's no different in a scrambling situation.
Hey Nick, with Dillard hurt and with the way Jordan's playing, are you going into this now thinking that Jordan's your starting left tackle?
We still got a lot of time, Zach. We still got a lot of time to work through everything, and a lot more time before we play Atlanta. So not there yet. Just want to continue to see Jordan get better every single day.
What's the biggest thing you learned from Mike McCoy when you served under him?
Yeah, it's great to have him here. Yeah, it's really great to have him here and see him practice. He was. I always respected how much Mike paid attention to situations. He just there's so many situations that pop up in a game, and I'm not just talking about third down. I'm not talking about red zone. I'm including those 2-minute backed up 4-minute. I'm including those, but there's so many situations within situations. There's so many things that pop up, and he always spent a ton of time talking about those things and practicing those things and walking through those things. And it made us a smarter football team. I do believe that we definitely became a smarter football team because of it. And so I always took that from him. And, he was always I always thought he was great with our families too. Like my wife can't wait to see him today, right? And so to say hi to him because he was just always great with the families, and it made it a family atmosphere there at the Chargers.
Getting back to your extending sort of the play conversation, what's the teaching point for climbing the pocket versus flushing out? Do you prefer? I mean, is that something you kind of?
Again, it's play by play. I mean, Jalen and I haven't watched a game together yet, but yeah, I'm gonna tell him on the one where he scrambled that, like, boom, step up in the pocket and take a look at where Dallas was on that play against cover 2 and rip it to him and then run. So it's you don't want to take away what one of his biggest values are. You want him to use that with all his other talents, right? Because he did a great job of stepping up in the pocket, and we'll talk about that play today. But I don't ever want to limit him to with what he's gifted at. But then again, you're just trying to make improvements of when you stay in the pocket as well.
Nick, there was 11 running plays the other night with the running back competition, pretty tight. Is there anything you take away from what you saw Thursday night from that position?
Yeah, it's just, again, we're evaluating the running backs on everything, right? It's not just the running plays. It's the protections, it's the routes, it's all sorts of things. We really, this is no secret. We really are going to use our running backs in the pass game. We're going to. They create great mismatches in games. So, we were able to, it didn't have a lot of offensive plays. I believe we had 45 offensive plays. So every play's an evaluation. A couple plays that really stick out. I'll mention a couple guys by name. Jordan Howard had a pickup on a third down where he just drilled the guy. That was awesome to see. You love that intensity there. and I'm talking about pass plays, and then Kenny Gainwell had a chip on a defensive end, and as we watched it in the coaches meeting, they were like, ooh, that one hurt. That slowed that guy down the next time. So it was good to see the physical play of the back. Kenny also slipped a tackle. The guy had him wrapped up. You just saw how strong he is in the lower body. So we're evaluating, even though it wasn't as many running plays as we normally would do, it was still a great tool to evaluate.
Obviously, Andre injured again in camp. Last year we spoke about how much it weighed on him to have that injury. Obviously, this one's not as serious, but what is your message to him, and have you had the opportunity to talk to him about keeping his mental state?
Yeah. Jeff, we've talked to the entire team about adversity, and that was one of our talks to the team in a team meeting, and that guys, adversity's coming, right? If you go 17-0, it may not come as much. But adversity's coming. Even if you go 17-0, guys are going to get dinged. Guys are going to get, and it's just how do you learn from the adversity and move on and just play the next play? And that's just there's no difference between a loss, a bad play, an injury, etc. It's just learning that, and that's just the mentality we're trying to have. And we feel like we get that. Really, to be honest with you, the same way we get play. You stress it. You talk about it. So, hey, on this play, I want this, 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 and this. The job description is very clear. Hey, when adversity hits, I want this, 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 and this. It's the same kind of format of how we talk to the players about it.
And Nick, we're still learning about you as a game manager. Did you approach the game on Thursday the way you would in the regular season, specifically with fourth downs and field goals and to go for it situations?
Yeah, we did. We did, actually, Zach. It was just that, for me to go out and try to do that game one, that I didn't think that would make sense, so we wanted to follow the format the same way. And we, again, you follow, you have a chart of what you think about, but there's also a gut feeling to it, right? It's just a wise man avoids all extremes. You're not extreme in anything. We have a chart, we have what it says, but you got to be ready to adjust. Just like a game, right? Here's what red zone says to do. Oh shoot, we got down in there in red zone and they did something different. You got to be ready to adjust.
Are you expecting to be aggressive in fourth down situations this year?
My experience, I guess that's, what, I'm not gonna go there. Not to not answer your question, but to the same reason of we have a competitive advantage right now on that, and so I'd like to keep that in-house.
You've been around some really talented and speedy wide receivers. As it relates to speed, how does Quez stack up?
Yeah, you saw that pull away from those guys in the game. There's just been a couple times where Quez has run a route, and I don't want to give him an unfair comparison because he's still got work. We all got work to do, right? But there was a couple times that he's ran a play, and I'm like, gosh, that looked like Travis Benjamin, who we had and who led the NFL in yards per catch back in 2016, or man, did you see how he ran that post? That looked like T.Y. Hilton. Like, so you always do that with players. Like, oh, did you see how this guy, did you see how Zach ran that pivot route? It looked like Antonio Gates. You compare guys to what you've had in the past, and Quez is no different than our other conversations.
We've seen Miles Sanders really work on his hands out here, but we have seen some drops. What are the teaching points? How can you guys help him get over that?
Yeah, he's working at it because he knows that he's got to continue to improve there. So I love the fact that he's doing that. We've seen Miles drop a couple, of angle routes is really where we've really seen it, and that's coming back in and looking at the quarterback and the angle that it's coming through. So we're just trying to simulate that as much as possible. We've had this issue with, I don't want to say it's an issue because he's dropped 2 balls in practice, but we've had the same thing happen with a wide receiver we had in the past, and there's just, and so it's nice the fact that you kind of have a blueprint, right? You go through something, like this is anything, right? You go through an adversity, this receiver dropping passes, and you can either learn from it or do everything you're doing the exact same, right? And so you learn from it and you add a couple of catching drills that you potentially to your routine. And so we feel like we've been through this, and we're going to do the same thing with Miles.
The decision to play Brendan Brooks, it was his first time in a game since 2019. How did you think he looked, and what kind of sign is that going forward?
Quick, powerful, explosive. He's a really good football player. So just wanted to get him out there with the rest of the offensive line, and I was excited the way he played.
Miles has talked in the past, getting back to Miles, he's talked about you need these traits. You need the runner, the pass receiver, the pass protector, so forth. As a play caller, does it make it more difficult if you have to piecemeal that? Or would you rather have it, one guy so you don't tip your hand?
I think I've always been, and especially in that room, piecemeal it together. And that's our job as coaches to make sure you're not tipping your hand, right? So it's like, okay, if this guy fits this role, he can't just do this role or the defense is going to know it. So it is, and you got to have guys that have rest too, right? So I like that we do it by committee because, and that we've always done it by committee because it gives the guy rest. But guys are good. That's just our job as coaches. Who does what well, and let them do that, but without giving any tips to the defense.
Last one, guys.
When you have a mobile quarterback like Jalen, how much does it limit a defense's ability to play a lot of man against you?
Yeah, I think what we've seen really is like 2-man is like the one that you really think about. Like, they ain't playing 2-man against us. Now there's different ways defenses can do that because they can play 2-man and spy you, right? But then they only have a 3-man rush, so you're taking risks there too. Like this last year, like we were like, well, we're gonna get 2-man this week. We had Phillip, and he was able to deliver. He did so many other things really well, and so but we knew we were getting 2-man. And this year, we haven't been into the game planning per se of a full game plan, but I'm expecting not to get as much of that, to be 100% honest with you.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Thanks.